What have you learnt from kicking that off that was a surprise to you?
Best takeaway I've had, like, is just being able to release a project and understand that perspective. I've always been a collector leading up to it, and you understand how much work goes into releasing a project and how much pressure there is to deliver, and also, after it's been released, the stress.
Welcome to Altcoins of Pitches. I'm your host, Fadye, and this episode we have Punk Vandelay, the co-founder of Aliens. We speak to Van about pseudonymity versus anonymity versus being doxxed. We speak to him about the lessons he's learned from starting a project and how he's never sold any crypto ever. Please enjoy. Thanks. Alrighty, we're joined today by Punk Vandelay from Aliens. Thanks for joining us, man. How you doing?
Hey, Fajay, how's it going?
Yeah, good, man. Let's kick it off. How did you get into crypto and NFTs? What was the start for you?
I guess I'll start off with crypto. It goes kind of way back. The initially when I first heard about crypto is I was into playing poker a lot back in the day. It was just a complete poker DJ, and just being so interested in poker, I started hanging out in it was a 2+2 forums a lot. So there was like within the forums there was all these sections, and there was like some talk about something called Bitcoin, and started reading up about it, and casually just passed by it, and it just like kind of started seeing it more often. And so even what some of the poker regulations started changing for online poker, and at a certain point it just became easier to play online using crypto. So that was kind of my first introduction to purchasing crypto and all that. So somewhere in, I think, my old stuff, I have like the like paper printout of the QR code where you had to like scan it in order to get your BTC.
How'd you go about buying it? Like, where did you get it from?
You know what? I'd have to go back and see what exchange it was, but it wasn't like there wasn't Coinbase or like a super established exchange. There was ways of doing it, but you had to kind of do the legwork and figure it out. And it kind of was exciting at the time, because it was like, oh, it's this whole thing that when there's like effort to do something, it almost feels more special.
So you found yourself actually using it just to play poker. You weren't you weren't investing in
Yeah.
it specifically. It just
Okay.
was an
Yeah,
easier
yeah,
currency.
yeah. Exactly. I wasn't smart enough to think, hey, I should be investing, but my DJ brain was thinking, oh, I just need to gamble with this. So I was sports betting, doing all sorts of things, which I regret looking back at it now. But eventually, along the way, at a certain point, I realized, hey, this is something I should start investing in. So I did eventually invest, but it wasn't till much later, and after I'd gone through after also Bitcoin had gone up quite a bit. So Ethereum, I think I knew about Ethereum when it was around, I would say, around $8 to $10. And
Wow.
then so I started reading up on it, and there's just so much FUD about Ethereum. And it's hard to really tell like what's real and what's not, especially when you're so new to something. So I spent some time just researching it, and then eventually realized it was such a critical piece to, I think, to the crypto ecosystem, and I just started investing like crazy. I was using what was what's the exchange that the Winklevoss own?
Gemini.
Gemini, yeah. So like I was just maxing out my Gemini buys just on a daily basis, just like I couldn't, I wanted to just invest as much as I could, and then it
What
just went
year
kind
would
of
have this
crazy.
been?
What was this? Was this 2000? I think it was 2016, maybe.
Right. Okay.
somewhere around that range. It was I remember like later on there was the whole. So I got my whole. So I was so excited about crypto. Like I was one of those guys that was probably annoying and just talking about it all the time at work. So I got a bunch of people to invest at work also, and it was a great time, especially when it started. The price just started going crazy, you know, and that was that time when the price just went, it was just ridiculous.
How did you go in 2017? Did you sell the top, or you just kept doubling down on it?
I didn't sell the top. Yeah. So, interestingly enough, I don't know if this is this is real dumb or smart, but I've never sold any crypto since I started buying to invest. So
Right.
I've held the entire time since then, and along the way, definitely purchased more. But yeah, it's and some of my higher conviction plays. So I'm very confident in kind of what Chainlink's doing and their outlook. So I've talked about this on our pod too, but it's in a cold wallet where the funds haven't moved in so long that you would think I probably lost the keys to it.
Right.
Like it's an ice cold wallet where it would take effort for me to go retrieve.
It's hard to
And
say if it's smart or dumb, because in 2018 it probably looked dumb that you didn't sell, but then all of a sudden in 2021 it seems smart, and then now it probably doesn't look great. Like, I think it depends on the timing, doesn't it?
absolutely. Yeah. And I had, like in my mind, I was thinking, hey, I'm going to hold this for 10 years. I'm going to, whatever happens along the way, I want to see it play out.
What do you think you're going to do in 2026 then, when it's been sort of 10 years?
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll start selling some of it. I should probably I'm so notoriously bad at taking profits. So I don't know if I'm the right person to, like tell on those types of things. I've gotten better. Definitely with NFTs, that has taught me to take profits and be able to do that. But with crypto, yeah, I haven't I just have these diamond hands that I can't ever sell anything.
So what was your first NFT that you bought then?
So yeah, going into NFTs, so I did quite a bit of research. So initially, I was in the whole Top Shot. I don't consider them real NFTs, but that was, how I initially got introduced to NFTs. And then I guess I contradicted myself by calling them NFTs. But
Maybe it's sort of like a shitcoin version of NFT. It's maybe if you started with Shiba as your first coin and then make your way to ETH or Bitcoin, it's still a
exactly.
coin, but it's not a great coin. That's kind
Yeah,
of how
no,
I see Top Shot.
yeah, that's a great comp because they and they were doing so well too, and then they just did everything since then they've done wrong. They've just produced way too many highlights and whatnot. I haven't really paid attention since back then, but so from there, I started hearing a lot more about CryptoPunks. So they just kept coming up. I heard it on podcasts and just stories, and heard about Beeple. So I think Beeple's what first got me interested because he had these, I think they were called dailies, and then they did some sort of giveaway where you can enter and you can win, some of his pieces. And so I entered them, and then eventually, like I think it was by the second one that I entered, I noticed there was just so many people, that it was like it had become so popular. I was like, and thinking like this is really something. Like I want to look into this more. So I started paying attention to punks, got into the punks Discord, and just lurked there and just kind of try to consume everything, everything people were talking about, and just kind of get an understanding of what NFTs and especially punks were all about. And then hit a certain point where I realized, hey, I need to buy a punk. So my first NFT ended up being my CryptoPunk. So I
So
just
the
like
current one you use as a profile?
exactly the current
Wow.
one.
Yeah.
Yes. So I had to I had to talk my wife into it. They're like, hey, I'm gonna spend spend all this money on this JPEG here.
How much was it at the time?
It was I think so I bought Ethereum luckily like before it started pumping a bit. So when I had started funding my account in order to buy the CryptoPunk, I think I funded maybe around 40K, but then Ethereum had pumped up to like 50K. So I don't remember the exact cost, but I think I spent 22.5 Ethereum on this
Yeah.
punk. So it was and it was kind of special for me too, because like it's fun when you're gonna go buy something and you start shopping and figuring out what you want. So in the punks Discord there was a gentleman named Mr. 703. So he has the story of when he claimed 703 punks
Wow.
from the very beginning. Yeah. So he didn't have that many when I reached out to him, but
Yeah.
he still had several hundred. I think he had like 300 plus. And so yeah, what I liked about him was that they had such clean histories. So he was the only owner outside of the person that would purchase it. So
Do you think that's like valued much yet? That like sort of clean history, like minimal transactions?
I don't think it is. I think some collectors do value it, but for the most part, for the general public, I don't think they do value that. For me, I just thought it was kind of cool just being the second owner ever for this NFT.
No, I definitely get it. Last year, I bought an ape, and it was from Pranksy, and he was like one
Hmm.
of the first big accounts I followed. And yeah, it appealed to me that it had one previous owner, and to me that was like a famous person in the space. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, just I never see it mentioned much that people are after it's nearly like low mileage cars or something like that.
Yep, yep,
Because I look
yeah,
at
no,
some now and it's, transferred back and forth from hot wallet to cold wallets to maybe their OTC trades, and then it's on OpenSea, and it's been transferred like 20 different times, and I don't know, it just doesn't look quite as nice.
yeah. Some of the like I've gone and looked at some punks histories, and they're kind of fun. Just seeing, the owners, the previous owners, and what they did, because everything's just, it's all there. The history's there. You can see when people listed it. When people ended up paper handing a punk or,
Yeah.
whatnot, or selling at the top. There it's all there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. Like you can't, especially if your wallet's public, you can't hide anything. You can't claim great trades if it didn't exist.
Hmm. Hmm.
So do you work full time in NFTs now, or you still have your IRL job?
No, yeah, I have a full-time IRL job.
How do you go juggling both things?
Yeah, it's definitely tough, and also on top of it, having a family. So yeah, when the bull cycle was happening, I was not sleeping a lot. I
Yeah.
will say that for sure. I'm
So
sure, like many.
yeah, it's probably a relief that it's a bit of a bear market at the moment, I guess.
Hmm. Absolutely,
So do
yeah.
you just like map out a time, like you've got a certain time window every day, or a certain day, like a weekend or something, where it's yours to catch up, or you're just squeezing it into your week?
Yeah, I'm usually squeezing in, either if it's after work and just catching up. So I think what's been really helpful is having a group of friends that we kind of ping each other if something's up, so you're not always having to pay attention. And what's helpful is everyone's in a different time zone. So, even when you're not paying attention, they may be, for them, they're not working and they can pay attention.
Right. So it just like filters it a little bit for you. You've got like a curated feed of alerts.
Ex- exactly. But unfortunately, recent in the bear cycle, there's not really a need. But in the good old days, we used to like there used to just be a new drop, every day, right? Something fun every day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think good break for everyone. It's just so taxing. And I think different to other markets because it goes 24 hours a day. It's just burns you out so quick trying to pay attention.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's tough to sleep because you're always afraid that you're gonna miss something.
Yeah, I feel like you list something, you go to bed, wake up, you don't know if you're going to be disappointed it sold or disappointed the floor drops. Like it's a lot of
Yeah.
restless nights.
Yeah, I like one like example like comes to mind where just even like going to the gym. I remember I went to the gym and then there was remember the loot derivative days where there's like about a week or so where there were so many loot derivatives
Yeah.
and they were all doing well. I
Yeah.
remember, I was at the gym and one dropped and I was like, no, like that, like you just see like how much money you missed out on because you could have just easily just, flipped them and
Yeah, most expensive gym session you've ever had.
exactly.
It's crazy just thinking of, yeah, literally if you don't participate, you've got an opportunity cost that you're just losing money by not being
Hmm.
there. It's crazy. Um, so you've recently been a co-founder of a project. I'm not sure how to pronounce it properly. Is it aliens? Is it eight aliens? Like what's the go?
Yeah, everyone pronounces it differently, but yeah, I like to do the hard eight on there, the
Okay.
eight liens.
What have you learned from kicking that off that was a surprise to you?
Yeah, it's it was. I think that's the best takeaway I've had. Like just being able to release a project and understand that perspective. I've always been a collector leading up to it, and you understand how much work goes into releasing a project and how much pressure there is to deliver, and also after it's been released, the stress of wanting to make sure your collectors are happy. But I think the biggest learnings is just understanding each piece of the project, and and we've had to develop relationships, and we've had people along the way. They were working on the project with us, and then you have people like flake out, and just having you're working with people that you've never met in real life, and there's just a trust factor. And so for the most part everyone's um pretty good about it, surprisingly. But yeah, there's definitely times where we had to pivot our idea because we couldn't accomplish what we wanted. But yeah, no, it's been a great learning experience, and I recommend every collector to at least attempt to like, it doesn't have to be a huge project, but either mint something or do something in order to kind of see that other side.
Yeah, it seems like everyone that participates in the market is already an expert on what founders should do and what they shouldn't do. But
Definitely,
yeah,
yeah.
but obviously that's not the case.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Now, whenever we like listening to a podcast where there's a founder on, and then just hearing their thoughts on it, and then you relate to it much more, understanding, having gone through it yourself.
Yeah, I'm always mindful of, replying to whether it's founders or projects on Twitter. How do you think you bring across like not negativity, but criticism of projects without just piling on them? Because I see that just people have unrealistic expectations sometimes. How do you do
Mhm.
that as a participant?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Yeah, my approach has been I don't know. I tend to just focus on collecting a new piece and sharing a piece versus I don't kind of go down the road of trying to criticize projects and all that, and I think it's fair to do so because it's good feedback for those founders. But I don't know, whatever, maybe it's just like my personality, but my just the way I tweet has tended to be just sharing pieces of art I've collected. Like even like my own opinion, I probably don't share as much that as I would like. And a part of it is just having a in real life day job that, I can't just tweet all day long, I guess.
Yeah, you're
But
not out here just grinding Twitter 24 hours a day.
exactly. If I was doing Web3 full time, I'm sure I'd be, participating in that manner much more. But just hasn't, it's just having specific set of time. And for me, it's been wanting to focus on collecting. And now, it's also helping support our project and spending time that way.
Do you find yourself collecting more art or PFP projects or a bit of a mixture?
Yeah, initially, the mindset was just whatever was hot, right? Which was PFPs and, hot at the moment. But recently, it's definitely been, Gen Art has taken over the way I collect and, mostly art blocks. But yeah, I've started selling off a lot of the PFP projects and started moving towards more Gen Art and one-on-ones on Super Rare.
Is it because you've got a personal attachment to it, or is that like a financial thought?
I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest. If I had to be really honest with myself, I think the art in itself is more appealing to me. For a lot of these versus, and I'm sure it's like that for a lot of people because the PFPs can only go so far. But yeah, I think like off in the future, you almost think when the masses come in, what are they going to collect? And I think the art blocks projects will age quite well, and the overall history of our and evolution of our space.
Yeah, it seems like the biggest hindrance at the moment is displaying digital art in a house. I know I've tried to do it, and it's very costly. You're sort of just digital photo frames. One, they don't have an app that integrates with NFTs or your wallet, and quite expensive, even in comparison to like a computer monitor or a TV.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's probably what's, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Once, the displays, I think, once we have better displays, it's definitely going to bring more people into the space because, a lot of it's just, becoming aware of what it is. And, if you show someone on your phone, it doesn't have quite the impact of if you see a piece in a gallery, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you find yourself collecting art prior to NFTs, like physical art?
Nothing. Yeah, I guess not to this extent, but I did always have a fascination with art. Like for example, I went to school, to business school in college with as my focus, but I always took art electives for whatever reason. I always grew up loving art and also painting and drawing as I grew up. So there's always been a fascination there. I think it just, like most, you grew up wanting to do something, quote unquote practical and, getting a job that seems more practical. So like I think like, it's NFTs are giving or crypto art is giving artists more of a platform, so you future generations may pursue it more often. But back then it didn't seem like something I don't know, like just growing up with parents that that tell you to study something practical. It just didn't seem worthwhile pursuing.
Yeah, I find it extremely brave that artists just pursue being a full-time artist. It must be so difficult and so stressful financially to just push through with it.
Agree. And a lot of these OGs, in the space, they were selling pieces for, $50, $100. They were, it was probably hard to sell even pieces at that price. And, these are guys like X Copy that, are the biggest names in the space now. So yeah. Um, yeah, there's
Yeah, I find it interesting. I think it's unlocking a huge customer base of art because I was the same, interest in art for a long time. No, nowhere near an artist myself, but I started buying it once I discovered NFTs because I think it's just so simple. You browse from home, you click a button, and it's yours. And I think it's so easy to share as well. So I think it's going to unlock a lot more careers, not only because you can make money as an artist, but I think there's going to be more consumers based off NFTs.
absolutely. I think you're going to see a lot of people that will start creating art just as a hobby more often now. Just what the more as the space becomes more prominent in the overall consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just going to spread art in so many different ways, which is really cool. Go to the question about it's always a hot topic with NFTs. It comes back in cycles, is the idea of royalties. Your
Hmm.
project did the punks model of holding back supply that over time you can sell to, that's the only way you can make money because zero royalties. Do you think there's a
Hmm.
one size fits all approach to doing it or a better approach than others? Did you guys do that as just because you were huge punks fans, or you thought that was the right way to go with royalties for now?
Yeah, we did do it. Like we were huge fans of punks, and the reason we did it is because we didn't see any projects attempt to do it, and we just wanted to be different and try something new. For us, creating this project was, it was a fun experiment. It was, wanting to always talking about wanting to do a project, but like it's a lot of times you talk about it, but you never end up doing it. So we were just, we ended up just, hey, let's do all the things we wanted to do, and we've been chatting about throughout, through the years, and let's try something new. Let's kind of shake it up and see what happens. And that was kind of the approach. I think it just was a coincidence that the conversation around royalties started happening right when we released, but our intention was, a little tip of the tip of the cap to the punks model, and also just wanting to try something new. But for me, I think there isn't a one size fits all model for royalties. For an artist, definitely they deserve the royalties, and whatever they set up, that's their intention, to set it up that way. I think that should be honored. But I do agree that some of these PFP projects and these are almost, for lack of better words, some of these kind of cash grabby projects, they're it's very obvious what they're doing. They're trying to just create this secondary where they can just collect on that.
Yeah, because it creates a different dynamic that you really want traders involved, a lot of buying and selling. You're not really hoping for diamond-handed supporters. You want
Hmm.
multiple interactions with royalties.
Absolutely. And because they benefit even when things are going bad because there's a mass sell off and they're collecting royalties off that.
Yeah, I find it's hard when you find out something's changed with the project. I'm not going to name names, but I've held projects where I didn't like the direction, and then you go to sell it, and you realize you're still rewarding the original project. You're still making money on it. It's hard to make that decision without bringing money back to the project.
Definitely. and this is not my idea. I think it's been said many times, but I like the approach of, setting royalties if you're making money off the transaction. So, if you're if you're taking a loss, maybe, the royalty is waived at that point.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. That seems interesting. Like anything, I'm sure it can be gamed into favor of traders, but yeah, that sounds pretty good. On the idea of PFP projects, what's your thoughts on why they've become so popular? Because my thoughts were last year hearing people talking about the oversaturation of PFPs, and this was maybe a month or two after apes came out. So that wasn't even the tip of the iceberg on how saturated it would become. But projects are still, new ones come out, are still becoming popular, still selling out. What do you think's the appeal of them?
I think some of it's that just, when people like, collecting something new, there's just that factor of just, when you're minting something new and, you want to see what you get. It's like, when you're young and you're just opening up a pack of cards and you're just flipping through and seeing what you got. But I think a big part of the appeal of PFPs and is that there's all these bubble. It's almost like teams. There's all these communities, and they all kind of form. And they're like, if you see someone with a PFP that, I don't know what a recent project is. I'll just use aliens as an example. If you see someone with an alien, and then you can say, they're part of your team, I guess. So it's just, yeah, it's almost a way of to signify that you're on that team. And I think the Bored Apes probably are the best that have executed the best on that kind of that model. Just they've done it better than anyone else. It's this exclusive club that you join once you purchase that PFP. But I think some of it's that, and then just going to the Bored Apes, they're trying to chase that next project that we've seen it happen so many times, even with some of these recent projects, that there may be 50 projects that don't do anything, but that next one might just go to a 10 ETH floor. And
Yeah, I
it
think
hurts
it's
when you miss that one, right?
yeah, I think it's that little gambling edge that, yeah, like you said, opening a pack, you don't know if you're going to get a rare one. I think everyone knows on a subconscious level that you generally sell something pre-reveal, and then even if you love the project, buy back in. But I know
Uh-huh.
myself, I never do that. Uh,
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same way. I know in the back of my mind for sure that's the smart way to play it, but I just want to, I want to gamble and see what happens.
yeah, you never know. You might get that gold one. It's your time to get that gold reveal.
Exactly.
Um, do you think with Twitter being the sort of main driver of NFTs nearly in general, do you think you need a social media presence to have success, either as an artist or a project?
As an artist or a project, I think for those two, you do need a presence. Um, for sure. I would say as a collector, I don't think you do. I've seen many collectors that are, not active on social media, and they may have 20, 20 like followers, but they're just have amazing collections. They just don't care to, be the, you know, make their presence known. They're just kind of in the shadows collecting these grails.
Do you think that small account is still keeping sort of finger on the pulse, though, of the culture through social media?
I would guess yes. Like I'm not I guess like I'm not um chatting with any of those folks to truly know if that's the case. But I think you have to, in our space, you have to pay attention, or else you have to know the pulse of where the trends are going, because things change so quickly, right? Just one trend could end so quickly and another begins, and if you don't react in that small window, you're left holding a bag that's just, the price is falling so quickly, and there's zero liquidity.
Yeah, I seen it recently. It's hard to remember time in NFT time. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a couple of AI projects came out, and they'd be like really low supply, maybe 500 or 1,000, and some of them did really well. It seemed like it was nearly the same outfit doing all these projects, but some of them
Mhm.
were successful, and then 3 days later, they're like not worth anything. It just happens so quick.
It does happen so quickly. I've gotten away from this, I think, as time went on. But when I first got into the NFT space, I thought I wasn't expecting myself to. I bought the punk as an investment. I didn't expect myself to, I guess, stay and participate for till now. And I'm like in love with the space now. But I didn't expect that at all. But you have the along the way, everyone knows this, that 99% or whatever, will go to zero. So I had that in the back of my head as I like kind of approached the space. So whenever these new projects did come up, I try to get out of them relatively quickly and just take the gains and just move on, knowing that it's probably going to go to zero. But along the way, you start getting attached to projects and the communities around them. So, I've changed course, but I would say that's probably a very good approach for now, where there's so much noise, and there's projects going to zero much much more quickly now than ever did before.
You're talking about building an emotional connection to NFTs. Do you think you would be able to sell your PFP now?
I don't think I could. Like, honestly, I don't think I could.
Yeah.
There was a time when I had several months after I had bought it, and punks were just going crazy. There was an offer, and I just thought about it for a second there. But since then, I've never thought about selling at all. I don't think I could. There's just too big of an attachment, and I think it actually, in a lot of ways, helped open doors, and just some of the people, I've became friends with, and just the communities that I've been able to join.
Yeah, I think that's the double-edged sword of repping a certain project is it does connect you with other people. Then some people abuse the social standing of it and talk down to other people because they think they're superior, but it definitely helps. Like it just unlocks a community that gives you gives you the time of day just because of a picture you show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's been many projects where once I started collecting, that I did change my PFP, but there was always a feeling in the back of my head. It was almost like I felt naked. Like I always wanted to go back to my punk, because I felt like that was my identity for Web3. And yeah, I didn't feel like myself whenever I switched to something else.
Yeah, it kind of feels like you're playing dress up with the different PFP, and that's you dressed up for Halloween or something. But you,
Yeah,
the
that's a great way to put it.
have you had that regret with any other NFTs where, regardless of if it went on to a higher price, like just that emotional loss of it?
Oh, you mean selling
Yeah,
a project?
yeah.
Um I think the only one recently I can think of is so for art blocks, gazers are up there on my favorite projects. So I had one gazer that was an aluminum one, which is a trait that people love. I ended up selling it to Token Angels, who owns the majority of those aluminums, just because he gives you these big offers. And I just, I ended up selling, but I do regret selling that one. And I feel like I'm never going to be able to afford buying in again to an aluminum gazer. But luckily, I kept one. I kept one that I minted, so I'm still, invested in the project. But yeah, that one hurt.
Yeah, I still find it so strange that you can have that deep emotional connection that it's beyond the monetary value of it, that you just feel lost from giving it up.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, because I sold it and made some money off it. But yeah, I keep looking back and going and having huge regret.
Um, let's go a bit of a spicy take. What's your hot take about Web3?
My hot take about Web3.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this is a hot take, but 99.99% of people are just here to make money. And, I think you see it in the behaviors of a lot of the folks in the space. But unfortunately, that's the case. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people that act like their intentions are different, which I think is better if you just make it obvious that that's what your intention is. But yeah, I don't know if that is a hot take or not.
I think it's probably what a lot of people think as well, but maybe they don't voice it. So I think that's quite hot.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. But I think NFTs, when they're doing everything right, when they're working at their best, it is making people money. So I think money's a good part of it. It's not the only part of it. And I think, yeah, some people get wrapped up in that's the only priority is making money
Mm-hmm.
at
Agree.
the sort of loss of other people.
Yeah, I think for a lot though that the money part being such a critical factor has actually introduced them into loving art. So like it is like
Definitely. Yeah.
there are benefits. I'm not saying it's all bad, but like that was the case for me. I came in with the intention of purely investment type reasons, but along the way I've kind of reignited my passion for art.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Money definitely got me into the space as well. But once you're here, there's so much more to it. What do you think the average public, like the normies, have wrong about NFTs?
I think it just I have so kind of my outside of Web3, my IRL friends, like none of them are into NFTs. And whenever I'm sure other people have felt the same way, but it just falls on deaf ears when you talk about it. And it's like, oh, I don't want to hear about NFTs. But I think a lot of it is, it's they're not, I don't think we can introduce people to NFTs versus they have to discover it themselves, or like want to come into our space. I don't know if we necessarily can like I don't think it's for everyone either, I don't imagine everyone eventually becoming an NFT collector. I think there's people that just don't care and don't, it's just not for them.
Have you had any success onboarding friends or family?
Initially I had some success with Top Shot just because, it's, with sports fanatics it's much easier. I think just onboarding with other types of projects, it's more tough. I think they just see the money and they just think, hey, can I make money off this? And that's the approach they they the push they have. But yeah, it's tough. I think the only times it was easy to onboard someone is when they already had an interest in art. So, when that's the case, it's much easier because you can introduce them to a new kind of platform for consuming art.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There's probably only one person I've guided along, like they already had an interest onto NFTs, and he was familiar with crypto already. So I think you need that in, whether it's art is an interest, crypto is an interest. There has to be something that gets you halfway down the road, I think.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, and that's a great point. Like if they're interested in crypto, is definitely a easier transition versus someone who's also not into crypto. Then yeah, it's a pretty tough hurdle. And I think there's going to be even if you introduce them, if they're not invested, you're setting them up for failure almost because they're not going to be paying attention. So if they do buy something, they're probably just never gonna do anything with it.
Yeah, I'm always mindful of talking it up too much in a positive light to any friends or family, because you just know you're always going to get burnt doing something along the way. So you do need to have a passion to get through the ups and downs of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What's the best advice you've been given about NFTs or just crypto in general?
Best advice. It's a great question. I don't know if this is the best advice, but this is the advice that I wish I would take more. Is I think just being so consumed by this space. I think I need to do a better job of disconnecting and having like touching grass, like we say, and just doing more things with your family, your friends outside of the Web3 space, and just have that, just making sure you do that because it can be very consuming. And I attached to my phone, just and it's become such a habit that I wish I could at least take it down several notches, but I'm addicted to it.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's so much easier said than done. Like I wish I could. I just can't right now.
Yeah, if you find out how to do it, please let me know.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I would love to know.
Yeah. I think it's just the downside of it being a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week market. It's new, so there's different things every other day. So I think even in a bear market, it's not a boring market. So I think there's always something to look at.
Definitely. Yeah, even in a bear market, there's opportunities. There's a lot of these, some of these blue chips were formed in the bear market. So I think, it's, you can always figure out ways to set yourself up, for that kind of next cycle.
You're saying you still have your IRL job. Any thoughts of trying to get into Web3 as a job, or you like having that space between the two, or you just enjoy your IRL job?
I I would love to work just purely in Web3. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think that's eventually the goal, but right now, yeah, I'm not looking to make a drastic change, but I'm definitely keeping my eyes open for any good opportunities and fits before I make that transition.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's definitely the future. So it'd be good to get in on the ground floor. And what's
For
next?
sure, for sure. Yeah, I would love to like something like art blocks if you're listening. Like I would love to work for organization like that. I feel like they're doing I think they're going to be one of the biggest names that comes out of all of this.
Yeah, it seems like they're not just resting on what they've done already. It seems like they've got lots in the pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got a hypothetical question for you. It's not financial advice, of course. If you lost all your NFTs, so if you once you get over the sadness, and I give you 100 ETH and you've got to hold it for 10 years, what do you think you would buy?
Great question. Kind of like we had this 100 ETH challenge on our pod, which we did it right before the bear cycle hit. So it was the worst challenge ever. But I like doing it in this bear cycle. I definitely would buy at least one. It's 100 ETH. Like if I buy a punk, that's going to
Yeah.
be most of it.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not to say you don't make more money down the road and you add to it, but I guess with a decent amount of money and a long conviction of 10 years, what do you think is a good buy? Or even just personally, what would you like?
I would buy a lot of anti-cyclones.
Okay.
I think William Mapan is going to be the biggest names that comes from our space. I think what he's doing with he's creating textures from code. I think it's just what he's doing is amazing. And I just I think that hasn't he's well known right now, but I think he's just going to be a bigger name in the future. So a lot of it, I would spend a lot of that 100 on his anti-cyclones and maybe some of his other work, and probably squiggles. I just think squiggles are going to age very well. So maybe half on anti-cyclones, half on squiggles.
What's the floor of anti-cyclones?
I think it's right around 8 ETH. It's been when people have been panicking, it's gone to like 6 point something, and then
that's a similar price for squiggles too, isn't it?
squiggles, I would guess maybe 12 now, something like that. 12 to 12, 13, something like that.
What's your thoughts with them? Is it because it's the first project from Artblocks, isn't it? And it's Snow Froze?
Yeah, exactly. And it's Snow Froze. I think just when people just tend to love squiggles, but yeah, I think it's the fact that technically it wasn't the first. I think because there was 3 projects released at the same time,
right?
So, but it was part of the first group of projects. But again, Snowfro, being the founder, and that's his Genesis project. I think, yeah, that's gonna be it's gonna age quite well.
Yeah, it makes sense if your thoughts are Artblocks just continues to be a big brand name in the space, then it makes sense that the founder's first work on that platform, it's not hard to see that doing well in the future.
Well, yeah, I forgot one. I would probably get one Gazer also. I think Gazers are just amazing, and Matt Cain's an amazing artist, and he has coded some surprises. We constantly see it with. I don't know if you're familiar with Gazers, but they're like constantly evolving, and that's probably the NFT I look at the most in my collection, just because it's always changing.
Right. It's interesting that you chose all artworks, no PFPs.
Exactly, right? Yeah. It's just, I think that's just where my mindset has shifted to
merged
in recent
to
times.
art maxing.
Exactly.
Just in a general sort of question about the future, what's your hope for the future of NFTs?
Hope for the future. Yeah, I hope we keep going in this direction and the space continues to grow and evolve. And I hope there's more players in the space that are like 6529, that have a certain motive of wanting to onboard more people, and not all about just making money. So I think that we need more prominent folks like that in order to help our space grow and kind of evolve to that, to being more of more mainstream, for lack of better words, like have a mainstream appeal.
Yeah. On 6529, is your guess that he's actually someone people would know, like he's already famous?
I would guess he's not, if I had to guess. I think you're probably referencing the fact that he changes his voice for podcasts or for appearances.
Just also, I think people that have had success know how to create success again. So even under a pseudonym, I think it's interesting. My guess would be he would be recognizable, but I don't have a clue who he is.
No, I have no clue either. But I would guess, I don't know. Like I could see it go either way. But if I had to pick one, I think he's careful about it. Like my guess is the reason he's so careful about his voice being heard and all that is for his in real life and people just recognizing him versus him being a famous person.
Yeah.
Because it does change your relationships. Like if I was 6529 and people in my family and friends like knew that, it probably would change that relationship.
Yeah, especially if your sort of wealth status is fairly discreet in real life. I think that would change things a bit as well. It would be a bit weird.
Exactly.
On that question, if you don't mind talking about it, why do you choose to be pseudonymous?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just not quite ready to to dox myself and just be out there. I think some of it's just being a more private person, just in real life as well. Yeah, I'm not the type to share a lot on social media, just in even on doxed accounts. So I think it's just my personality. I'm lean more towards the being on the private.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It seems to be a crypto thing, though. It seems to be people are very mindful of being doxxed and aren't willing to put out too much public information. Do you think that's just like a cultural thing or it's a security thing?
I think it's mostly a cultural thing, to be honest. Just how it started off being that way. I'm sure most people, if they had to be doxxed, they probably wouldn't mind. Let's say, you see a lot of people get doxxed, especially at events where someone takes a picture and then it gets posted. Like at some of these NFT events, I've met people and they know Punk Vandelay just sharing Twitter accounts, but so I don't mind that, but I don't know if I just want to be publicly putting out there who I am and all that, and posting pictures of my self in real life. But and that's because I'm a private person, versus, but I think a lot of people wouldn't mind. Like if I was doxxed, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah. No, that makes a whole lot of sense. All right. Thanks, Punk Vandelay, for joining us today. Really appreciate you taking all the time. It was great to hear your stories on how you got started.
No, it's been a fun chat, and appreciate you having me on.
No worries. Thanks for listening to this episode of Altcoins with Pitches. Thanks again to Punk Vandelay for coming on and sharing his insights and his experience. Please give him a follow on Twitter if you haven't already. And I'll catch you somewhere out there in Web3. Cheers.